see Mr. Bradley yet.
I don't see anybody else yet.
Wait, Mr. Gallagher, we have Mr. Maschke, we have you. So we've got 3 board members so far.
What do I have to, my red X is, should I hit the red X to, no, that would get
No,
me.
that will end the meeting, or that will, you will leave the meeting. Don't hit the red X.
I'm not, I have a stop my video in red. Should I get rid of my video? No.
Your video's
you
on.
want to leave that on.
Okay.
You're good.
We have to see your bright, shiny face.
Wait, how about that?
Yeah, and the only thing you'll have to do is you got to read this preamble, and then you also
Right.
have to swear us
Okay.
all in.
Cleveland Board of Building Standards and Building Appeals. Preamble. In compliance with notification requirements of Ohio's open meeting law under COVID-19 emergency declaration, notice of this meeting has been publicly posted. All boards and commissions under the purview of the City Planning Department conducts its meetings according to Robert's Rules of Order. Actions during the meeting will be taken by voice vote. Abstentions from any vote due to a conflict of interest should be stated for the record prior to the taking of the vote. In order to ensure that everyone participating in the meeting have the opportunity to be heard, we ask that you use the raise hand feature before asking a question or making a comment. The raise hand feature can be found in the participants panel on the desktop and mobile version and activated by clicking the hand icon. Please wait for the chair or facilitator to recognize you and be sure to select unmute and announce yourself before you speak. When finished speaking, please lower your hand by clicking on the raised hand icon again and mute your microphone. We will also be utilizing the chat feature to communicate with participants. The chat feature can be activated by clicking the chat button located on the bottom of the WebEx screen. Are we prepared to begin the meeting? Or anybody?
Mr. Chairman, Patricia McGinty, Aston City of Cleveland, were you finished with your preamble before I do my objection?
Yes, he was.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, Patricia McGinty, Aston for the City of Cleveland Law Department. As I do every 2 weeks, the city will object to the use of the chat function. I will ask that someone independently verify this is being live streamed. And Mr. Chairman, for you personally, I will say that if there are only 3 members, which is what I appears to see, I don't see Mr. Bradley yet either coming in, but you'll need to give them the 3-member rigmarole standard statement about the 3 members. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Disclaimer.
Thank you, Mr. Vanover.
Mr. Chairman, yes, I can verify the meeting is being live streamed.
Okay, the Cleveland Board of Building Standards and Building Appeals meeting is now called to order. Call the roll, please.
Maschke,
Here.
Mr. Dink,
Yes, here.
Mr. Gallagher,
Here.
Mr. Bradley.
I will call him and tell him he's not heard. We will hear the first docket. If Mr. Bradley does not get online for this, it will be, the condition will be that all 3 present members must vote the same way, or it is a no vote for the request of the appellant. First docket, A 255-19, 709 East 160th Street.
Application and fees are in order. Notice of violation is interior exterior maintenance.
issued August 26, 2019. Appeal statement received September 5th, 2019, requesting for 6 months to abate the violations. Present for the hearing, we have Tom Vanover, Building and Housing, Patricia Ashton, Law. Appellant was properly notified, not response to any of the notifications.
Can you hear me, Joe?
Yes.
Mr. Bradley's calling in. I can hear you, but Howard, we're proceeding with the first docket. Try and connect during our process.
I'm trying, as long as I can hear you.
Okay. Solemnly swear or affirm the comments you're about to make are the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Preliminarily, Mr. Chairman, since the appellant is not present and has been notified per Ms. Davis, I will ask Ms. Davis, does your file indicate the notice of today's public WebEx hearing being returned to the docket, to the board's file for any reason whatsoever?
No.
And Ms. Davis, did you receive any call or voicemail or email from this appellant prior to the commencement of 9:30 of this hearing?
No.
So, Mr. Chairman, given Ms. Davis's testimony, the board has given proper notice of today's public WebEx hearing for the appellant, Mr. Henderson, to appear and proceed regarding this matter. It does look like, I will note, I think there's a smoke detector that's been listed. And I will note that it appears there may be an issue he seems to make a statement that he gave a POA, power of attorney, to his biological mother. I'm not sure what that means, but it appears he may be, if this DRC number is correct, he may be incarcerated currently. Thank you.
Okay, the appellant is requesting 6 months to fix the violation. Mr. Vanover, do you have any comment on any progress on this?
Well, I'm a little concerned that there hasn't been any progress, but also that the appellant's ability to correct the problems.
So our recommendation should be to remand the property and deny the request for additional time, which allows you to pursue this matter further through your department.
Well, that would be my recommendation, Mr. Chairman, and we would ask that you issue a resolution accordingly.
Okay. Any comments from board members? I would like to note that Mr. Bradley is virtually present for the hearing on my cell phone. It's Ms. Aston, does that work? He can hear all the testimony we can hear. So it's
Oh, Mr. Chairman, you strained my legal ability.
okay.
You
Well,
do not currently have a lawyer logged on, do you, Mr.? I don't see
Chairman
management take.
Chairman are granted all powers not otherwise assigned.
That-
A motion is ordered to.
So be it. I would defer to the board on this one.
Thank you. A motion is ordered to deny the request for additional time and to remand the property to the Division of Building and Housing, noting the complications of the appellant to proceed with the work. It is better handled by the Department of Building and Housing. Motion so in order.
So move.
Motion, Mr. Bradley.
Second.
Mr. Maschke. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Maschke,
Yes.
Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
Mr. Dank,
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher.
Yes.
Next docket.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to point out that I did email Mr. Bradley the link again a couple minutes ago. So if he wants to check his email to see if he can use that other link to get in.
My computer's reconfirming and it's only 21%. It says do not install.
Okay.
Now, that's not a good sign. Okay, thank you.
You're overruled, Mr. Rulins. Thank you, though. Next docket, A 36819, 3460 East 78th Street.
Application and fees are in order. Notice of violation is exterior maintenance issued November 11, 2019. Appeal statement received December 11, 2019, requesting for 12 months to abate the violations. Present for the hearing, Tom Vanover, Building and Housing, Patricia Ashton, Law. The appellant was properly notified and has not responded to any of the requests.
Solemnly swear or affirm the comments you're about to make are the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Preliminarily, Mr. Chairman and Ms. Davis, just to make the record clear, was the notice of today's public WebEx hearing returned for any reason?
No,
And you stated he did not respond by phone or email to any of the notices by the board, correct?
that's correct.
I will state, Mr. Chairman, this was set once before previously, and this also was one where the attorney Zach Germaniak had made an appearance on behalf, I'll say generally on behalf of the appellant. The affidavit and letter is a little concerning to the city, and we strongly objected to it. And at the time, I spoke with your then counsel, Mr. Kluge, who reached out and to Mr. Germaniak. So I'm just creating my record, Mr. Chairman. And so all of the notices at that time were going to Mr. Germaniak, and I think Ms. Davis sent the current one to the owner, Mr. Owens, who I think lives at the property, but the Development Corp could not step into the shoes of the appellant on the appellant's behalf, which was what the city's objections were at that time. Given the fact that this board has scheduled it with notice to the homeowner himself and he is not present, I will defer to the board's handling of this matter, that it appears the board has the proper authority to proceed under due process notice and opportunity to be heard. And I would defer to Mr. Vanover as to the city's position. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Mr. Vanover, may we hear from you?
So, Mr. Chairman, again, we would ask that you deny any more time and remand this back to the Department of Building and Housing. You can see there's still the exterior maintenance still exists. The issues still exist. It doesn't look like there's been much, if any, progress on the property.
Thank you. Any comments from board members? A motion is ordered to deny the appellant with any additional time and to remand the property to the Department of Building and Housing for supervision and any required further action. Motion so in order.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Bradley, second by Mr. Gallagher. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Maschke,
Yes.
Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
Mr. Dank,
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher.
Yes.
Next docket, A 39519, 9917 Mount Auburn Avenue.
Application and fees are in order. Notice of violation is interior and exterior maintenance issued November 22nd, 2019. Appeal statement received December 19th, 2019. Looking for time to abate the violations. Present for the hearing, Tom Vanover, Building and Housing, Patricia Ashton, Law. The appellant was properly notified and has not responded to any of the requests.
Now I have the time requested was not stated. Mr.
Bill, you
Van,
might want to swear in Tom, right?
pardon me?
Did we swear in Tom?
No, solemnly swear from the comments you're about to make of the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
Okay.
Preliminarily, Mr. Chairman, to Ms. Davis, was the notice of today's WebEx hearing returned to the file for any reason?
No,
And did you receive any phone calls or emails from this appellant regarding today's hearing?
no.
So, Mr. Chairman, you can proceed. Thank you.
Okay, then my comments, Mr. Vanover, do you have any comments on the disposition of this property?
If we can, Mr. Ruins, if we could go to the next slide. Oh,
Yeah, I have no pictures for this one.
yeah, that one doesn't. Mr. Chairman, I would just make I believe this is a rental property. Well, and it's corporately owned. As I've stated many times, and it was also issued in November, so we're really 10 months in at this point. And so we would ask that you deny it and remand it back to the Department of Building and Housing. As I've stated in the past, our expectation, especially for corporately owned rental property, we shouldn't have to tell them how to fix it. We shouldn't have to issue notice of violation. They have a responsibility to do that on their own.
I will note, Mr. Chairman, this is Patricia McGinty, Aston for the City of Cleveland. There's multiple smoke detection and carbon monoxide listed.
And I noticed that I brought that one up, and it's a small residence, so it should be able to be taken care of reasonably. A motion is in order to deny the request for additional time and to remand the property to the Department of Building and Housing for supervision and any required further action. Motion so in order.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Maskey, second by Mr. Bradley. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Maskey,
Yes.
Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
Mr. Dank,
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher.
Yes.
Next docket. A 39619, 14406 Edgewood Avenue.
Application and fees are in order. Notice of violation is interior exterior maintenance. Issued November 21st, 2019. Appeal statement received December 19th, 2019. Requesting for 2 years to abate the violations. Present for the hearing, Tom Vanover, Building and Housing. Patricia Ashton, Law. Appellant has been properly notified and has not responded to any of the notices.
Solemnly swear or affirm the comments you are about to make are the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
Preliminarily, Mr. Chairman, Patricia McGinty Aston for the City of Cleveland Law Department. We would object to the 2 years, but also to Ms. Davis. Was today's notice returned to the board's file for any reason?
No,
And did you receive any phone call or email from Ms. Price regarding this matter?
no.
So, Mr. Chairman, it would appear you have the authority to proceed, having given proper due process notice opportunity to be heard. I will note it appears there are 2 notices of maintenance as well as a lead, and there is a smoke detection listed. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Vanover, do you have any additional comments at this time?
Mr. Chairman, just as you can see, this property still, the updated photos show that there's still a great deal of maintenance and dangerous conditions on this property. This one's really in bad shape. We would ask that, and the fact that they asked for 2 years leads me to believe that they don't have either the resources or the desire to correct the problems.
Okay.
And this was inspected as part of our systematic rental inspection program, so it is a rental property. So we would ask that you deny more time and remand it back to the department.
Thank you. Any comments from board members? Motion is ordered to deny the request for additional time and to remand the property to the Department of Building and Housing for supervision and any required further action, noting the inaction of the appellant to make any progress. Motion so in order.
So moved.
Motion, Mr. Bradley,
Second.
second by Mr. Gallagher. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Maskey,
Yes.
Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
Mr. Dank,
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher.
Yes.
Next docket, A 39719, 683 East 128th Street.
Application and fees are in order. Notice of violation is fire damage. issued November 18, 2019. Appeal statement received December 19, 2019, requesting for time to abate the violation. Present for the hearing, we have Mr. Darrell Jones, owner, Councilman Harrison, Mr. Vanover, Building and Housing, Patricia Ashton, Law.
Solemnly swear or affirm the comments you're about to make are the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
May we hear from the appellant's representative or the appellant?
I'm Mrs. White.
Okay. What are your plans for the property and how much time are you requesting?
Well, we had called an architect and he made up the drawings and took the plans downtown, and plans were approved. So the roof is fixed. The windows framing has been put in, and I've ordered the windows. And they said it would be 4 to 6 weeks for the windows. We hired a contractor, and he said he would do the whole house for $60,000, and he needed $20,000 down.
And
After the house was gutted, the contractor told us that he doesn't do drywall. So far I'm waiting for the windows. They've been ordered. I had to get the frames put in. So the windows are ordered now. And after the windows are in, I'll have the electrician and the plumber come in.
And you've obtained all your permits or whomever is, do you have a general contractor?
Yes.
You do. Okay, do you know that he's obtained all the permits?
Well, I know he obtained the permits for the roof and the windows.
Do you by any chance have, this is Tom Vanover, City of Cleveland. Okay, so there's my approval letter. Showing that it was received. Do you have the building permit number by any chance?
No, I don't. The contractor had the permit.
Okay.
Mr. Vanover, do you, if the permit has been obtained, you have records of it in your office? Would that be true?
Mr. Vanover, excuse me, Mr. Vanover, is that the B number on that image on the left?
Yeah, I'm having trouble seeing it. That, Mr. Ruins, that is correct. What is the?
It's B20005199.
I hate to be technical, but Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman, can you swear Maurice in for that testimony, please?
Solemnly swear or affirm the comments you're about to make are the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
Okay, so Mr. Chairman, we don't object to more time. It sounds like the appellant is doing what they're supposed to do in that they are, they've got permits and the work is progressing. We wouldn't object to a reasonable amount of time. Now that the permit's and they're waiting for the windows, I think that this is probably something they could be satisfied in 120 days. We need to keep the contractor accountable as well.
Before,
Mr. Dank, we have Miss Aston with her hand raised.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. To the appellant, Mrs. White, do you live at the property?
No, we don't. We rented a house down the street while the house is being repaired.
But this is your permanent residence then, correct?
Yes, it is.
And you
Yes,
intend to move back in, correct?
exactly.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, we have Councilman Hairston.
Yes, I was going to, Councilman Harrison, we'd like your comments, please.
Thank you, Chairman Dink, and to the members of the board and Commissioner Bills and Fish Vanover. As Ms. White stated, that they have made tremendous progress in trying to put back together their family home that had been destroyed by a fire. This family has been on this street for decades in this community and has always been very active in this neighborhood. And as you see, again, they have made considerable amount of work and progress on this property. And all they want to do is be able to have additional time to continue to work. Unfortunately, her husband, Mr. Homer, with his untimely death, I believe about a couple months ago, had passed away, who had been leading the efforts to make sure this property was taken care of. This is a family that has had house insurance for a number of years. And as you know, sometimes dealing with insurance companies, there is often a challenge. And there initially was a challenge with the insurance company, but they finally have worked through those issues. I believe that there was some back and forth with the contractor who says, I can do this, but really can't do this. And they also had to settle on someone else. I know Mr. Vanover indicated 120 days, and maybe that is something that can be understood between the property owner and the contractor. But understand 120 days within the pandemic, some things are taking a little bit slower time to be completed, which is part of what the case has been with this family trying to put this house back together. And so I would, Mr. Chairman and Mr. Vanover, if you would consider a 6-month extension for this family, but also understanding to the family that you do not communicate that timeline, if granted by this board and by the building and housing official, that this is something that you want to be completed as soon as possible. So in closing, Mr. Dink, Mr. Chairman, to the members of the board, that again, they are underway in trying to restore this family home. And I kind of chuckled because I said, wow, even some of the other individuals who have had notices from my ward on this agenda has never went this far to have plans submitted, architectural designs. I'm impressed, to be quite honest. I'm very impressed with the level of sophistication that this family has brought to the table to help them restore their property. So I'll yield there.
So,
Thank
Mr. Chairman, to the councilman, I don't disagree. S&W Construction appears to have pulled the building permit, and Kevin Robinette is the design professional, and Kevin Robinette is someone familiar to the department. He's a responsible, respected design professional. So we do. I mean, again, because there's permits that are pulled, and they include the work. It's not just the windows and the roof. We actually have a permit to correct fire damage. So that's encouraging, because oftentimes contractors will pull a permit for a roof and then try to remodel the whole house.
Yes.
So the building permit is in place. Mr. Chairman, to the appellant, I'm going to make this recommendation. I don't object to 6 months. The residential code of Ohio, now that the permit is pulled, will allow you to continue to work. As long as your contractor is moving forward. However, this is my recommendation, in that you receive a copy of the permit from your contractor before you give them another penny.
Yes.
We know it exists, but you want to make sure that they're being forthright with you. Also understand that as of right now, there is no electrical permit, plumbing permit, or HVAC permit. And before that work begins, or before you pay for it, the expectation would be that your general contractor would make sure that those permits get pulled. So I'll say that again, that's electrical, plumbing, and HVAC, mechanical, heating and air conditioning permits.
Mrs. White, we're sorry for your loss, and you're proceeding. The house pictures look like a very nice residence. do you have extensive, are you replacing the furnaces or a lot of the plumbing or anything? Not-
Well, when electricians come in, they're going to tell me, what all I need replaced. But I plan on putting the house back in the position that it was in before the fire.
Oh, okay, and that's your, well, Mr. Vanover's recommendation is very timely and very good, because you should see what the appellant is saying he's charging you for. And also that he's going to be allowed to do it when he gets there.
Did this, Mr. Chairman, and Ms. White, did this fire start in the kitchen?
No, it started in the back bedroom.
Okay. So, you may not, was the bathroom damaged?
Yes.
Okay, so you will need a plumbing permit, and you will most likely, and you will need a HVAC permit to replace any ductwork. So again, we don't object to 6 months, Mr. Chairman. But Ms. White, you're going to make sure that your contractor knows that they're on a timeline to get it done.
Okay.
Otherwise, they'll drag you out all winter.
Okay, I will.
A motion is ordered to grant the appellant until March 1st, 2021 to complete abatement of the violations. Motion so in order.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Maskey, second by Mr. Gallagher.
Mr. Maskey,
Yes.
Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
Mr. Dank,
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher.
Yes.
Thank you all. Next docket, A399, no, I'm sorry. A39819, 1348 East 111th Street.
Application and fees are in order. Notice of violation is exterior maintenance. Issued December 4th, 2019. Appeal statement received December 26th, 2019. Requesting for until June 2020 to abate the violations. Present for the hearing, Tom Vanover, Building and Housing. Patricia Ashton, Law. The appellant has been properly notified and has not responded to any of the requests.
Solemnly swear or affirm the comments you are about to make are the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Mr. Vanover?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Preliminarily, Mr. Chairman, to Ms. Davis, was today's notice of today's public WebEx hearing returned to the board's file for any reason?
No,
And did you receive any phone call, voicemails, or emails from the appellant, Mr. Childress?
no.
So, Mr. Chairman, you have given proper due process notice to proceed to today. I would defer to Mr. Vanover. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Vanover, do you have any comments on this property?
If you can, do we have updates on this, Maurice?
No, I have no pictures on this one, Mr. Vanover.
I have an aerial view of a house with a garage behind it and a vacant lot next to it apparently, but it looks like just our normal residence.
Yeah, if bear with me for just a moment. This is
Mr. Chairman, to Tom Vanover.
yes.
In our email correspondence, you have responded that they were in compliance. I don't know.
Yeah, that's. I thought this was the one. Thank you, Ms. Davis. Yeah. So, Mr. Chairman, the inspector reports to me, according to my communication, that they are in compliance, and that the appellate has said he's not going because they apparently they are in compliance, and the violation notice has been closed.
Oh, okay. A motion is ordered to grant the appellant until October 1st, 2020 to complete abatement of the violations. Motion so in order.
So moved.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Gallagher, second, Mr. Maskey.
Mr. Mr. Maskey,
Yes.
Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
Mr. Dank,
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher.
Yes.
Thank you. Next docket, A 399-19 3024 Carroll Avenue.
Application and fees are in order. Notice of violation is no permit. Issued September 9th, 2019. Appeal statement received September 9th, 2019, requesting for time. Present for the hearing, Tom Vanover, Building and Housing, Patricia Ashton, Law, and I believe the appellant is here. Sean?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Solemnly swear or affirm the comments you're about to make are the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God.
I do.
I do.
Okay. May we hear from the appellant?
Yeah, I submitted the revised drawings the original drawings plus revised drawings to Rodney downtown and Connie. So I'm just waiting to get those approved. So I'm a bit confused. I don't know if I can. I was told I couldn't pull the permits. So I'm a little confused as to my next step with this house. I mean, I'm working on it every day. It's all framed out. So basically, I'm trying to get an inspection on the framing so I can move forward with the rest of the property.
Mr. Vanover, you have any comments?
So, Mr. Chairman, yeah, as stated, there's no permits for the property, and then according to Inspector Barisic, you said that you submitted a permit application?
I did, but it was denied several times. I finally got a hold of Connie downtown, resubmitted everything to her again, including the original drawings, which were lost. So both Rodney and Connie have the original drawings. At this point, I'm simply just waiting the approval to get the interior inspected for framing, based on the inspector's recommendations. But honestly, I don't know. I don't even know how to do that now.
Mr. Chairman, Ms. Aston.
Mr. Chairman, to the appellant, when did you submit your most recent drawings, et cetera?
Well, I submitted the addended drawings. I want to say my architect did them on 5/1/20, so I think I submitted them in June or July, and then I did it again, and they were denied. So I dropped them off last 2 Mondays ago, maybe.
Okay, when you denial, did you get a letter, or is it a zoning denial, a notice of non-conformance, or was it a building denial?
No, I apologize. I apologize. I did it on the internet, on the website. So, and I'm not tech savvy, so I don't know if I did something wrong. So I end up just getting a copy of the original plans plus the addenda, dropping them off downtown, making sure Rodney had them, which he does. And I spoke to him last Friday, so a week ago.
So you just submitted very recently, correct?
Yeah. Like I said, I tried before with no luck.
And this is owned as an entity, correct? Not in your name personally. Are you the entity?
I am, yes. Yeah.
Okay. Are you a contractor?
I am as well, yes.
Okay, so you're a registered contractor?
Well, that's another, I guess we're not registered, so I do have a contractor's bond. However, I don't even know how to get registered now.
Well, that's for you to figure out. That's not for us at this time. I apologize. I don't mean to sound snarky.
No, I know, but
that's not for this venue, but
okay,
that's for you to figure out. I would defer to Mr. Vanover as to what his submittals and entries into our systems, we'll say. But,
Sure.
and I will just wanted to clarify, since I thought this was actually in your name, but it's actually in an entity's name. So,
It is, yes.
Mr. Chairman, I will defer to Mr. Vanover regarding that. But if you're saying you got a denial, there would usually be a letter of denial with rights to appeal, either a zoning that would go to BOZA or a building denial adjudication order that would come to this board. So again, I'll defer to Mr. Vanover. Thank you.
Mr. Vanover?
So, Mr. Chairman, in looking at the record, it does appear that there was a building permits in place, and then I don't know if it was a contractor change or an ownership change. I believe it was an ownership change in the property.
Well, it was a contractor change, actually, part of my interruption. It was a contractor change. My ex-business partner and I split.
Okay.
So it was a partnership change, hence the delays. There's a lot legally involved with that process, but I finally got through that hurdle, so.
Okay. So then there was there is an application out there. It's the conversion of a two-family home to a single-family home. And it says that it is with Mr. Wells. Again, I'm not, my record's not showing a notice of nonconformance or a denial letter. So and you said that you didn't receive, either of those?
I haven't received anything yet, but I last spoke with Mr. Wells a week ago. So, but from the sound of things, because it was approved prior under Celtic Construction, and it's the same plans that I submitted, except I submitted an addenda with those plans based on Inspector Tony's recommendation. So that's what I sent to Rodney. So I'm just waiting back, of an approval or denial on those, so I can get it, inspected and pull all the permits and move forward. I mean, I have a plumber, electrician, everybody's ready to pull their necessary permits.
Okay, so according to the records, it appears that the zoning review and the plan review was assigned on 8/18. So that was just under 2 weeks ago, or right at 2 weeks ago, I suppose.
Okay.
So it's in process. So Mr. Chairman, so here's the thing, you can't get an inspection until your permit gets approved, right? So,
Correct.
And so, we don't object, Mr. Chairman, to more time. I do believe the notice was properly issued because when the owner, by law, permits are owned by the property owner, even though they're in contractors' names. And when the property ownership changes or the contractor changes, those permits become invalid. So these permits were closed out accordingly. Work continued. Maybe it was a matter of confusion, maybe it wasn't. But at this point, the reality is it sounds like you're at a stopping point anyhow. The work has to stop until we get the plan approval issued.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't object to more time for that, to figure out where we are, just to get it through the process.
Sure.
And the reality is, providing the zoning is approvable, which there's no zoning approval yet. But if we assume that it does get approved, then we have to go finish through building code review. Has the design changed from your original permits?
Nothing has changed. Just some structural issues. Tony wanted a header and some studs supported. So that's really, as far as the interior, that's the only changes we made were based on his recommendations.
But I'm talking about from your original plan approval.
No, nothing has changed.
Okay.
Mr. Vanover, it sounds like you're going to have, you and Mr. Whalen are going to be talking to each other, or your representative. Should we just remand it to your department and let you be the judge of what's reasonable? What is a reasonable time from 2 weeks ago for him to receive his permit, if it's approvable?
And Mr. Chairman, as I said, we don't do plan reviews in BBS hearings. I'm not entirely sure what is lacking in the plans. So, of course, I never object to remanding it to the Department of Building and Housing. But, either way, I think that it's something that needs to get cleared up. More importantly than anything, I would like that the violation notice, however you decide, be upheld as properly issued, and a clarification that you can't work on the building without a permit.
Mr.
I don't
Chairman,
object to more time, to 2 more weeks to get the permits. I think that we could get it cleared up in that time.
Mr. Chairman, we have Mr. Gallagher with his hand raised.
Mr. Gallagher.
Yeah, so I was wondering, between, yourself, Mr. Chairman and Mr. Vanover, if this, we could do the rehab plan on this, is that a possibility? While we're waiting to get the final approvals, we can go with the couple weeks that you're talking about, if you think that'll do it, Mr. Vanover. But go with the rehab plan, then he'll get his permits and he can finish this up.
Mr. Gallagher, the rehab plan is not appropriate because it's not just simply replacing in kind what was existing. There are structural changes that are being made. This is a change of use from a 2-family home to a 1-family home. So it's not a matter of replacing drywall where there was drywall, replacing a sink where there was a sink, replacing a door where there was a door. There is a reconfiguration, structural changes, and a change of use on this.
But that had already been approved, I believe.
It was approved until until the ownership and contractor change. So you have to go back through it. I am confused. I'll admit that I don't understand how something was approved once before, but now it's not, unless there was a change in the scope of work. But again, I can't verify or I can't confirm or deny that here in this hearing.
Yeah, I can, and nothing has changed. I do know that. So again, we just want to move forward and finish this project.
I think we should give time, Mr. Chairman. Doesn't have to be, it can be in sort of in line with that, depending upon what they have to do to the house yet. There's obviously exterior work. I'm not sure about the interior, but I think we could give him time to get his permits and then to give him time to finish it.
Oh, give him time to finish the construction as well?
Mr. Chairman, that's not under violation. There's no need to give him time to finish the construction. The violation notice is for working without a permit.
So we're just gonna take care of that, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, if we give him till September 1st to obtain the required permits, and he has a problem with zoning, that goes to zoning, and so then it goes back into the control of the city, and so let's just do that, unless somebody has a better idea.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Gallagher has his hand raised again.
Mr. Gallagher.
Yeah, so we have to do something about the work done with without the permit. So we have to make a decision on that.
He can't. We can find that the violation notice was properly issued, and it was stated by the appellant that he didn't have the permits they were invalid. So we can state that, and then just proceed on and let the Department of Building and Housing finish it up. He can't work on the property until he obtains the permits. That's the stop. That's part of our ruling.
Mr. Chairman, we have Ms. Aston again.
Just for clarity, Mr. Chairman, you said September 1st, but that was yesterday. I don't think you meant September 1st.
I said October. I probably did say September. I can't say October. A motion is ordered to grant the appellant until October 1st, 2020 to obtain the required permits. No work is to proceed on the property until the required permits are obtained. The property is remanded at this time to the Division of the Housing for supervision and required further action. Motion so in order.
So moved.
Second.
motion, Mr. Gallagher, second, Mr. Maskey.
Mr. Maskey,
Yes.
Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
Mr. Dank,
Yes,
Mr. Gallagher.
Yes.
thank you all. Next docket, a housing extension of time. Docket A 25019, 1444 West 84th Street.
Mr. Chairman, you can also call docket A 25119 as well. With this one is 2 houses on 1 parcel.
Yes, we will also introduce docket A 25119. Thank you.
Application and fees are in order. Notice of violation is condemnations of the main structure. Issued March 22nd, 2017. A statement received September 3rd, 2019, requesting for time. Present for the hearing, Tom Vanover, Building and Housing. Patricia Ashton, Law. Appellant has been properly notified and has not responded to the request.
Solemnly swear or affirm the comments you're going to make of the truth, the whole truth, and the truth.
I do.
Preliminarily, Mr. Chairman, so, to Ms. Davis, so call-in user 2 is not the appellant, correct? Listed here in the participants.
We will proceed with the docket.
Mr. Chairman, this is Patricia, this is Patty. I'm just clarifying that the call-in user 2 is not the appellant. I see separately Mr. Bradley.
Oh, okay, thank you.
I believe the calling user 2 is Mr. Bradley.
Okay, I wanted to check. He's listed on here twice. I wasn't sure of that. So, Mr. Chairman, preliminarily, to Ms. Davis, did today's notice of public hearing by WebEx return to the file for any reason whatsoever?
No.
And did you receive any phone call, voicemail, or email from the appellant, Mr. Meeks?
No.
Okay, and Mr. Chairman, I will note that these were previously heard under dockets A7019 and A8319, granting to submit for permits to September 1st, 2019. You adopted those and they were published. And I think there was some rehab permits pulled or whatever. I'll let Mr. Vanover clarify as to what was proceeding as to that. But you do have the authority and the due process right to proceed. Thank you.
The property looks in excellent shape. Is it, Mr. Vanover, do you have any comments on this?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I was just going to make that comment, and I apologize. I got some late status photos that, in communication with my inspector. Although the exterior of the property is not the worst, you can still see flaws and issues with the roof and issues with the windows. But the reality is these are condemned. They've been condemned for quite some time. There's already an appeal that was issued, a resolution that was issued. The insides of these properties are destroyed. There's not a very clear indication. We would ask that you deny them more time and remand it back to the department so that we can force the owner to complete the renovations that are required. The interior, there's fixtures missing, there's holes in the plaster, there's waterlogged floors in both properties. So we would ask that you deny and remand it.
Okay, is anybody living in these properties? No.
No.
No, okay. Any comments from board members? A motion is in order to find that based on testimony presented, and the absence of the appellant to give his testimony, that the violation notice were properly issued. The properties remanded to the Division of Building Housing for supervision and any required further action. Motion so in order.
So moved.
Motion, Mr. Bradley, second, Mr. Maskey. Mr. Gallagher, excuse me. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Maskey,
Yes.
Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
Mr. Dank,
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher.
Yes.
That concludes the hearing, the approval of resolutions for the following A-19 dockets, A 270, 382, 383, 386, 388, 389, 390, 391, 392, and A 394-19. Any additions or corrections?
No.
Motion for approval as submitted.
So moved.
Motion, Mr. Bradley.
Second.
Second, Mr. Maskey. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Maskey,
Yes.
Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
Mr. Dank,
Yes.
and Mr. Gallagher.
Yes.
Approval of the minutes of August 19th, 2020. Any additions or corrections?
No.
Motion for approval as submitted.
So moved.
Motion, Mr. Gallagher. Second, Mr. Bradley.
Mr. Maskey,
Yes.
Mr. Bradley,
Yes.
Mr. Dank,
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher.
Yes.
Any further official business?
No.
Well, we blazed a trail because we had a phone, video, virtual meeting. Mr. Bradley was in attendance throughout. And it's a good thing I had an extension cord right by my phone. Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you. 2 weeks.
Thank you.